All right, hello and welcome. So, if you're learning German and you're ready to really level up your sentences, this is for you. Today we're going to demystify da, the other German word for because that you're probably not using, but you absolutely should be.
Okay, let's just get right into it. Every German learner, and I mean every single one, masters weil pretty early on. Ich lerne Deutsch, weil es Spaß macht. I'm learning German because it's fun. Simple. But then you start reading, maybe a book or an article, and you see this other word, da, popping up all over the place. And you think, wait a minute, they both seem to mean because. So what's the deal? What is the real difference? Well, that's exactly what we're going to solve today.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly is da? Well, technically, it's what grammar nerds call a causal conjunction. But that's really just a fancy way of saying it's a word that introduces a reason or a cause for something. You can translate it as because or since. So at its very core, yeah, it's doing the exact same job as while.
And here is our first big clue about how these two words are different. You're going to see da way more often in written German. We're talking books, news articles, formal letters, that kind of thing. In just everyday, casual, spoken German, weil is definitely the king. So right away, you know that choosing to use da can add a slightly more formal, maybe even a more literary vibe to your writing.
Okay, before we get to the really cool part, we got to talk grammar. But don't worry, this is the golden rule for these kinds of words, and it's super straightforward. Just like with weil, a sentence chunk that starts with da is what's called a subordinate clause. And that means one simple thing. The main verb, the action word, gets punted all the way to the very end of its clause. Let's actually see what that looks like.
So, when you're using da, you've basically got two ways you can build your sentence. Option 1, you can state your main point first and then give the reason. Or option 2, you can start with the reason to kind of set the stage and then deliver your main point. Let's break down both of these with some actual examples.
Here we go, structure number 1 in action. Ich kann nicht kommen. That's our main statement, right? I can't come. Then we tack on the reason. Da ich arbeiten muss. See what happened there? The verb muss, have to, which would normally be right after ich, got kicked all the way to the end. That is classic German subordinate clause grammar. Now, let's flip it around. And this is so cool because it shows off a key piece of German grammar. We start with the da clause, da ich arbeiten muss. Now, in German, that entire chunk of text counts as position 1 of the sentence. And what always has to come in position 2? You guessed it, the verb. So the main clause's verb, kann, has to jump right up to the front. Kann ich nicht kommen. It's a really slick and super common way to structure a sentence.
Okay, so we figured out they mean the same thing, because, and they follow the same verb to the end grammar rule. So that brings us to the big question, right? The one you've been waiting for. Why? Why have two different words that do the exact same job? Well, this is where the real nuance comes in, and this is the secret to sounding much more like a native speaker.
And here it is. This is the secret to da. Weil is what you use when you're introducing new information. If someone asks you, why can't you come, the reason is the new important part of your answer, so you'd use weil. But da? Da is used when the reason is already known to everyone in the conversation. It's old news. It's background information that you're just quickly referencing.
I absolutely love this quote because it just captures the feeling of die perfectly. The die clause, it's not the main event. It's the stage. It's the foundation. You're basically saying, hey, based on this thing that we both already know, here's the result. The whole focus of the sentence shifts away from the reason and onto the consequence.
So think of this as your cheat sheet. Let's make it super clear. Are you answering a why question and giving someone new info? Use weil. In that case, the reason is the star of the show. Is the reason kind of old news, just some context you need to mention before you get to the important part? Then you use da. Now the result is the star. Think about this. Das ist regnet, bleiben wir zu Hause. Since it's raining, we're staying home. The fact that it's raining, yeah, we can both look out the window and see that. That's known info. The important part, the new information, is that we're staying home.
All right, let's just boil this all down into a quick guide. So remember, da means because or since, and it always kicks that verb to the end. You're going to see it a lot more in writing, and now you know its secret power. You use it for reasons that are already known to everybody. And by doing that, you cleverly shift the whole point of the sentence onto the result, not the reason. That's the whole magic trick right there. So there you have it. You've cracked the code. Da isn't just another word for because, it's this subtle, sophisticated little tool that lets you control the flow of information in your sentences. It's a total game changer. So, my question for you is, now that you're in on the secret, how are you going to start using Da to make your German sound even better?